Hello, Cryptoverse, and welcome to the Crypto Chronicle, where we dose you with the cure for FOMO. I'm your host, Misho, and let's get started with the week's news. First, let's start with the exchange that has had the top volume in trading in 2018, Binance. Following the excitement of their announcement 2 weeks ago to develop BNB as its own blockchain, the company decided to keep rolling with the good news and planted a flag in the Mediterranean. Company has had an office in Japan, but they were trying to get a license to operate there, but decided to remove the staff to avoid a clash with the local regulators. The pivot to Malta comes as the country looks for ways to become a hub for digital asset ventures. This sounds like great news for Binance. In other news, the Venezuelan state-sanctioned cryptocurrency, the Petro, has caught the eye of the US president. Donald Trump himself has signed an executive order to ban U.S. purchases of the cryptocurrency. This man, the president of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, has referred to the U.S. as Superman, sounding like a nice compliment, but then the Petro as kryptonite. It's interesting to note that also there's rumors that Putin may have assisted Maduro in the rolling out of Petro, and so that this news is probably not going away anytime soon. In positive endorsements this week, the CEO of Twitter and Square, Jack Dorsey, had an interview with the Times out of the UK where he said his vision is within 10 years that there will be a shared currency in the world. And that currency, he believes, will be Bitcoin. Also, disclaimer here, Jack Dorsey owns Square, and the Square Cash app has just recently added the functionality to buy and sell Bitcoin, so it's not surprising that he's said positive things about Bitcoin. Then, out of left field, enter Snowden. According to documents obtained from Snowden to The Intercept, Bitcoin surveillance has been a top priority of the NSA for a long while, since 2013. It goes beyond tracking the public ledger. They're actually looking and analyzing global internet traffic, Bitcoin wallet keys, and device identifiers. So hide your keys and hide your wallets, folks. And now time for tonight's main story. The G20 meeting happened earlier this week in Buenos Aires, Argentina. And to frame the discussion, let's recap the state of crypto going into that meeting. The total market cap had dipped below 275 billion. Bitcoin was below 8,000. Reports about the Mt. Gox BTC sale had been floating around for the past month. And lastly, the first US congressional hearing about ICOs was held, and it was semi-positive, semi-negative. And so the vibe going in wasn't all positive. However, as the meeting was set to start, the FSB, or the Financial Stability Board, which is a major international regulatory body, delivered the letter to the G20 finance ministers. In it, it stated, the FSB's initial assessment is that crypto assets do not pose risks to global financial stability at this time. This is in part because they are small relative to the financial system. Even at their recent peak, their combined global market value was less than 1% of global GDP. In comparison, just prior to the global financial crisis, the notional value of credit default was 100% of global GDP. Their small size and the fact that they are not substitutes for currency and with very limited use for real economy and financial transactions has meant the linkages to the rest of the financial system are limited. And the cryptoverse rejoiced. Bitcoin surged $1,000 into the 8.5K range. The G20 meeting went on with no other negative news, so everybody was happy. By the end of the meeting, however, several quotes were heard from several representatives of different countries where they were defining crypto and Bitcoin as assets and not currency. This was quoted from the French finance minister Bruno Le Maire, who said crypto is more an asset than a currency. Brazil Central Bank president added to that and concurred with him. And then lastly, the Saudi Arabian Monetary Authority governor said the first function of a currency is to serve as a stable medium of exchange. And experience today with various crypto assets in circulation is that they do not meet those criteria today. The meeting ended with the expectation that nations would share their data and regulations by July 2018. Now for down the line. WenChain is finally over. WenChain has been added to Binance today and is currently trading at about 13 times the ICO price in US dollars. I was unfortunately not one of the lucky ones to get in on the ICO. However, I will be monitoring it this week to see if I can get in on the next dip prior to the expected good news in April. They're expected to talk about dApps and ICOs on the platform, which should give it a nice bump. Your reading assignment for this week is a great article overview of the Mt. Gox bankruptcy and sale done by The Verge. The link will be in the notes for this video. And this saga with Mt. Gox has been going on forever, and with more BTC sales expected in the future. And so this story is not ending anytime soon. So the more you know, the more ready you'll be. Lastly, keep an eye on Bitcoin this weekend as we move through this coil formation spotted by @TrueCrypto28 on Twitter. Coil formation is a sign of a huge move one way or another, so it should amount to an interesting weekend, which normally doesn't happen, but we'll have to keep an eye on it. Thank you all for joining us this week. Subscribe to the channel to remain up to date on the cryptoverse and join the conversation on Telegram and Twitter as you see below. This has been the Crypto Chronicle. My name is Misho, and I want to help you make smart whale money.